Tony is a labor leader.
Arthur, please, grow up. Does the mind not rebel in any possible scenario under which dentist is sending the Don of New Jersey first class on a Norwegian steamship? Come on, Arthur. Somebody donated their kneecaps for those tickets.
Despite what the name might suggest, The Sopranos is not in fact a show about opera singers. It's about the mafia, and as such, the show revolves around gangsters and their criminal activities. The mob genre has always had a special kind of appeal. It's a power fantasy. A gangster is someone with money and power who can take whatever they want and doesn't have to follow the rules the way us normal schmucks do.
For us, to live any other way was nuts. To us, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day, worried about their bills, were dead. They were suckers. They had no balls.
And while the show goes to great lengths to deconstruct this romanticized notion of crime, it's still easy to get sucked in to the mystique of mob life.
You met him. My husband can be very magnetic. He's bigger than life.
We see that reflected in the show itself. Characters get drawn into the allure of the mafia and ignore the reality around them. Christopher sells his soul to follow in his uncle's footsteps. AJ tries to live up to the ideal that gangster movies like The Godfather set for him. And of course, the perpetual loser Artie Bucco wishes he had the money and status of someone like Tony Soprano.
It's funny, because guys like me, we come here, we get drunk and stare. Best case scenario, we go in the back room, we get a lap dance, a dry hump, and blowing our pants.
However, there is one character who rises above this. Charmaine Bucco. Of all the characters, she alone realizes how terrible the mafia life really is, and does everything she can to avoid being entangled in their drama. Fans talk about the most moral characters in the show, citing someone like Melfi, who never got involved with the mafia directly. But even Melfi finds herself strangely attracted to the mob through her sessions with Tony. Charmaine is the only character who truly sees the mafia for what it is. And in this video, we're going to examine how her story shows us just how uncool the mob really is.
How are we gonna grow if we don't take risks?
Going into business with a gangster isn't a risk. That is a guaranteed disaster.
Charmaine Bucco is the wife of Artie and the mother of their 3 children. They've dated since high school, where she was also friends with a young Tony and Carmela. After high school, Charmaine married Artie and went on to work with him at his father's restaurant, Vesuvio. As of the start of the series, she co-owns the restaurant with him, managing front-of-house operations while he serves as the head chef. Charmaine is an incredibly hard-working woman. Not only does she raise 3 children while running the restaurant with Artie, she's also a licensed notary public. People make a big deal about Angie Bompancero being an independent working woman, but Charmaine is just quietly kicking ass off screen the entire series.
But also, she's a fantastic cook. She's better than Artie in some ways. And plus, she's a licensed notary public.
Charmaine is also notable for her incredible assets. Seriously, she's a smoke show. I've talked about this before, but it was really pathetic the way that Artie was constantly chasing the young women who worked in his restaurant like Adriana and Martina, when he had a piece of prime rib waiting for him at home.
Hector, and you, mustache. You got something to say?
However, what Charmaine is really known for is her bossy attitude. She constantly nags Artie, telling him what to do and what not to do, and even putting him down. It's part of what makes Artie appear so weak, that he has a wife that walks all over him.
Oh, what, are you so pissed because I told you couldn't go into business with Tony?
Don't tell me fucking anything, Charmaine.
At first, Charmaine just seems like a buzzkill. She's constantly standing in the way of Artie's friendship with Tony, and blocking any attempt by him to help Artie out. On first watch, we wish that she would just back off. We know that Tony does genuinely love Artie and wants to help him out. Friendship with Tony Soprano can have incredible benefits, and it seems like the struggling Bucco family could really use the help.
Name me another fucking person who offered us anything except the Sopranos.
You want to watch what you do when you're squeezing the quail?
However, Charmaine is one of the few characters who understands just how dangerous being friends with a gangster can be. She knows the way that mobsters make their money is by taking advantage of others, and doesn't want that to happen to her family. After all, look where being friends with Tony Soprano got Davey Scatino.
Hey, you're not the first guy to get busted out. This is how a guy like me makes a living. This is my bread and butter.
And Charmaine is right about Tony. Even if he would never bust out Artie the way that he did Davey, his friendship is still toxic. He burned down Artie's restaurant, ostensibly to protect the place from being used for a hit, but it still put them in a terrible place, both financially and legally as an accessory to a crime.
When you blew up the restaurant, you made me party to a criminal conspiracy. Did you ever stop to think about that?
That's not even counting the fact that Tony and the other gangsters never even pay for their bill. They rack up a huge tab with the understanding that Artie is in no position to ever force them to pay. Tony even exploits Artie's terrible investment with Jean-Philippe in order to wipe his tab and eat for free.
It's just that somebody mentions 50 grand to bankroll a French digestif, and your mind goes through all the permutations at like internet speed and realizes, oh, worst case scenario, I eat for free.
Charmaine understands all of this, which is why she is so against Artie having anything to do with Tony. Unlike Artie, who sees the mob as glamorous and a path to easy wealth, Charmaine sees it as the violent and destructive plague that it really is, and does her best to keep her husband safe from his own naivete.
All these years I sat here and I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want you and your boys coming in here. And look what happened. Look what you've done to my husband.
Artie? I'm trying to help him.
Yeah, well, good luck. Because he's a friggin' mess.
This clarity is even more impressive when you consider the fact that if she wanted to, she could have absolutely had the life of a mob wife. When she was in high school, she slept with Tony one summer while he and Carmela were on a break. And it seems like Tony was quite smitten with her, and would have married her instead of Carmela if she wanted to. Even 30 years later, Tony still fantasizes about what might have been with Charmaine.
You know what I've been thinking about lately? Charmaine Bucco.
Nice set on her.
No, not like that. Oh, maybe like that.
I've talked about this in my coma dream video, but I've always interpreted the voice of Tony's dream wife as Charmaine. To me, she represents a path that Tony could have taken where he didn't join the mafia, instead opting for a life as a civilian. We know that Charmaine wouldn't tolerate her husband having anything to do with crime. Charmaine being his wife in the coma dream is essentially Tony fantasizing about a woman who would keep him away from his worst tendencies.
I mean, I'm thinking that this is the kind of woman I need. It almost worked between me and her, right?
However, Charmaine chose not to be with Tony. Carmela, even as a young girl, knew who Tony was and what kind of life she would have had with him. She chose him not in spite of the things he did, but because of them. She wanted a life of luxury, and was willing to overlook the violent ways that Tony made them money. But Charmaine wasn't.
Really, it wasn't for me. Carmelo, what I'm trying to say is stop worrying about me. Really. I mean, we both made our choices. I'm fine with mine.
And for me, that is the most impressive thing about Charmaine. She could have had an easy life, but she chose to work hard and honestly instead of taking the easy road. Unlike Artie, she doesn't yearn for the better life. She's content with their family, their restaurant, and not having to worry about their door being kicked in by the police. She's one of the only characters on the show with true integrity, never compromising her morals for the sake of money. And that's what makes her such a strong character.
Buddy, what are you gonna learn, huh? Be happy in thine own self.